Okay, David, this is where we're supposed to choose a side, green or black.
John, my soul is as black as night. Your turn.
I am black for life.
So we're not fighting? I thought this is where HBO wanted us to pick sides and fight and stuff.
Don't worry, I'm sure we'll find plenty to disagree about on the pod, but we seem to agree on one thing. We both really like this show.
The politics, the drama, the lore. It was made for the Lorehounds.
And since we just finished recapping season 1, we couldn't be more ready to defend our Black Queen in the Dance of the Dragons.
And with the season pass option in Supercast, listeners can get early ad-free access to each weekly scene-by-scene deep dive, plus our custom show guide with all the characters and connections. See you in the Lorehounds podcast feed each week for our Dragonfire hot, but probably positive, takes.
The Lorehounds House of the Dragon coverage is also safe for Team Green consumption. Side effects may include a deeper understanding of dragon lore, a hardened conflict with itself, and an inescapable urge to read the book Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin. Dragon seeds may experience burning. Welcome to the House of the Hounds. We're the Lorehounds, your guides to the Dance of the Dragons. I'm John.
And I'm Elysia, and this is our coverage of HBO's original series, House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 6, titled Smallfolk.
We're going to start off with our hot takes for the episode before we get into a scene-by-scene breakdown.
And we have started recording a second podcast just for feedback. Hand of the pod, Nancy M., is going to be collecting and organizing the feedback for us. You can send an email to hotd@thelorehounds.com. And don't be surprised if you get a thank you reply from Nancy. You can also send a voicemail, and we can include those right in the podcast. The voicemail tool, super easy to use. Just head to thelorehounds.com/contact.
You can support the community on Supercast or Patreon, join the conversation on Discord, or take a listen to any of our affiliate podcasts with the link tree in the show notes. Now, we have a couple other features this season that we're trying out with House of the Dragon, but I think are going to be mainstays of the network going forward. We have a season pass, which is just $10 flat. It is not a recurring subscription. It is a one-time charge where you get to get all the Patreon Supercast benefits of just the House of the Dragon podcasts. You will get the show guide, which has visual guides to all of the characters, the episodes, the locations, dragons, etc. You'll get early and ad-free access to the House of Dragons podcast. You'll get the bonus hot takes on Sunday nights. But you won't get anything else besides House of the Dragon content. That's the trade-off. You can either go recurring and get everything, or you can get the season pass for just House of the Dragon. Now, the show guide is also picking up steam. We've got 6 episode recaps in there, plus a season 1 recap. We've got new locations every week.
Yeah.
The family tree. Yeah. And it's a collaborative effort. We've had Aaron and Brian 8063 helping with things like sigils and alt text and things like that. We try to keep it nice and accessible. And I'm very proud of it. And I hope people are enjoying it.
It's an impressive piece of work.
Thank you, Elysia. Now, this was going to be your first time on the Hot Tea podcast here.
Right.
It is not now because I got sick last week.
Yes. Yeah. I'm glad I got to talk about the episode last week because I feel a little better about maybe having a slightly lower opinion of this one than last week's.
Oh, this is the weakest episode of the season by far, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay. I wasn't going to go there, but all right.
I thought it was still really good. We're talking about good in a realm of great, I think.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, like I said, that I struggled a bit, especially at the beginning, but it's also, I have the same problem with both seasons of this show where this is a show where I'm most guilty of writing the thing in my head. And then being like, but I went on a whole journey with this episode. We had lots of discussion on the Discord. And I think, I've come around on a lot of the things I wasn't sure about. The one thing is I defended last week the Damon dreams of Harrenhal. And this is the week where I'm finally like, I'm so glad Patty Considine's back. But we could have combined that with,
Yeah, it's dragging a bit.
I'm done with that now. Even as a witch lover, I'm like, okay, next.
It's also unclear to me if the two are related, or if she just is sort of a witchy woman who knows things about what happens at this place.
I think that's part of the point, and I do like that aspect, that, you know, sort of that fantastique where you aren't sure whether is it magic or is it just coincidence, you know, that's because, for instance, we're full spoilers, right?
Yeah.
For this episode, obviously, yeah.
Yes, if you've not watched the episode, be gone and watch the episode, come back.
But yeah, the whole thing, I heard you and Maya talking about, like, did she or did she not kill the guy, you know,
Grover Tully.
The Tully, yeah. And she said, obviously, before that, in 3 days' time, something big is going to change. So that seems to imply that she did. But then it's also, yeah, there's always that fine line, like, where they could say, oh, but it's witchcraft, or be like, oh, this is just ignorant people talking about a woman who uses herbs.
Right. And the question is, did she poison him, or did she just have a feeling, have a vibe check that he has been sick a while and this is the time?
Exactly. And with Daemon, like, is she like slipping him psilocybin or something? Or is she, you know, is it just the circumstances of his guilt and, you know, being in this ominous place and her suggestions?
Yeah. A lot of other things happened in this episode too. We had, you know, the Lannisters starting to march. We had Corlys finally being hand of the queen, excuse me. The Hull siblings are starting to really come to fruition. What are they going to do? It seems like we're actually getting action there. We have new dragons being introduced, not quite named yet. So we had a lot of development, I think, just not a lot of action.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind there being not a lot of action. And there were things that I really liked. I liked the whole let's send the boats to King's Landing in the middle of the night tactic that Rhaenyra and Mysaria did. I liked. I wasn't sure how I felt about Sea Smoke chasing Adam down at first, but then afterwards I was like, you know what? I like it. Like, one of my friends, Gio, he commented on Twitter, like, yeah, go get your girl.
Yeah.
He got ghosted and now he's, you know.
There was a really good meme that was like, Sea Smoke going, do you have a girlfriend? And Adam goes, not yet. And she goes, well, you do now. Really pursuing a rider. It's interesting because this is the first time we've seen a dragon pursue a rider rather than the other way around. Right.
And so we had the whole discussion on Discord, like, why Adam?
Yeah.
Like, why not? And of course, yeah, okay, Salt and Sea, got it. But it's got to be a combination of Salt and Sea and Fire and Blood, you know, as Bela stipulated the other week. So then why not Alan? And my thinking is that it's something about Adam's spirit. Like, he has a similar boyishness spirit to Laenor. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that could be it. I think he also had been dragon watching the whole time, right? He had his eyes up. Alan's always had his eyes down.
That's true. Good point. Yeah. He's got that, like, Fire and Blood in there as well as the Salt and Sea.
Yeah, I think so. And does he even have the Salt and Sea? Because we don't see him do a lot in the shipyards. I think Alan does most of the work.
Well, yeah, I guess I'm just assuming that they've been sailing together this whole time.
Yeah, he's all salt, no sea.
He's just salty.
One other thing I wanted to say, what did you think of the whole sequence of the Smallfolk uprising? Because that's the name of the episode, so clearly they want us to focus on that at least a bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's about that, but I also think that it's about the dragon seeds. You know, that it's the Smallfolk are getting a way to put their foot in, maybe a very burned and charred foot, but a foot in the door.
Right.
Like I said, I really thought it was clever of Rhaenyra and Mysaria to do the thing with sending the food in the middle of the night. You know, first start the rumors like, oh, they're feasting up at the palace all the time, but we have rotten fruits. And oh, look, in the middle of the night, here's some fresh fruits with Rhaenyra's flags on it.
Yeah, I did move a few characters to Team Black this episode.
Yeah.
Where they were in no allegiance.
Mm-hmm.
I moved
Okay.
Sylvie and Diana to Team
Right.
Black because I think we can firmly place them under Missaria, and Missaria
Right.
is Team Black firmly.
Yes.
She's quite firm for Team Black, actually.
Yeah, it seems like it. So yeah, the kiss was another one that I had to come to terms with, because at first I was like, wait, where did this come from? Is it Missaria playing games? But then this is one of the cases where it's like, I listened to the interviews with them and with the producers and writers and stuff, and that convinced me more that it was earnest and that it was apparently quasi-improvised. Not really, but, it was the actors who came up with it. Or I think Emma Darcy especially.
Well, you know what I'm going to say about showrunner interviews, right?
Hey, these are the actors, so.
Well, I don't care. Listen, show me, don't tell me. That's my whole point, is with this whole thing.
No, in this case, I agree with that more.
I just think that, I'm going to put aside all the bad faith criticism of we don't like women kissing on screen.
Right.
And just say, I did not get a single hint that they had attraction until this episode.
Right.
And earlier in the episode, sure, she gives her a compliment.
Yeah, they were getting close, as confidants, but yeah.
But it also falls into the trap of every close relationship needs to turn romantic, and I think that that's silly. No matter the genders involved, it is silly to be any close relationship needs to turn romantic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, Rhaenyra, from her perspective, she's feeling pretty abandoned and lonely right now. So I can see why she would want that. But that's why it was also from Missaria's perspective, especially after she just told this story, this horrible story. I was like, I don't know, is that really what she's feeling, or is that a way of manipulating?
I actually saw Rhaenyra as pretty predatory in this scene because...
Yeah. Oh, I thought Missaria started it with the neck kissing.
I mean, to me, if you put a man in Rhaenyra's place, then somebody making a move on somebody who has just confessed their victimhood and sexual assault history, and I just think that that's a really gross situation.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that Missaria is the one who started with the canoodling, but
I disagree on that. I think
there is,
we're gonna have to re-roll it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, watch again. But Missaria first is kissing her neck before she kisses her on the mouth. But it is still an inherent power disbalance, Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah, it's a little gross to me, and I think this show has done a really good job. I've been really complimentary to it about how it has made sexual and romantic encounters meaningful and mean something to the plot. And I think this missed the mark on it. That's all I'm going to say about it. I don't want to litigate it the whole episode, but I do think that they missed the mark on this one.
Well, I'm curious where it goes from here.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an awkward situation now, isn't it? They work together.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely going to come back up. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, shall we get into the main breakdown?
Let's do it.
We start off with the Lion's March.
Rawr.
Jason Lannister marches his host to the Golden Tooth to collect the forces of its lord, Humphrey Lefford. Though Humphrey is ready for battle, Jason tells him to send a raven to Aemond, informing the Prince Regent that they will not march to Harrenhal without Vhagar. The Lannisters make themselves at home. What did you think of this scene?
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me of, I like a thing in fantasy, more realistic fantasy literature. This is something the Wheel of Time does well, where they just really show how horrible it is to host an army. And then you just hear, he's like, oh, well, I have 500. He's like, well, I have 1,000. And then there's just lions in the background. Really? You're taking your mascot with you? But it did make me wish that George R.R. Martin would write in his books, because they're not going to do it on screen because they don't do the direwolves justice. But I want a fight between a lion and a direwolf, and then I want them to team up and turn and eat the Lannisters instead.
I like it. I'm always down for a Lannister to get eaten if it's not Tyrion.
Right. Or arguably Jaime, I guess.
Jaime before season 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I very much enjoyed watching them parade around this stupid circus. Jason is delightfully an imbecile.
Love to hate him.
Yeah. He's like, Thailand is such and props to the actor who plays Bull, Jefferson Hall, for making me be like pretty neutral on Thailand. And then I see Jason, which is the same exact actor, and I'm like, fuck you all the time, every time I see you.
Oh, he's just so annoying. And then, I was watching like a heavy spoilers recap or something, and they showed a clip of him from the first season. I was like, oh yeah, you were even more infuriating then.
Right. Yeah, he's not great. But then Aemond gets the letter. He holds a meeting of a small council and angrily rejects Jason's demand for Vhagar. He sends Thailand to treat with the Triarchy and help to break Corlys's blockade. Then he sends Criston Cole to Harrenhal to aid the Lannister army before Daemon can raise an army of his own. Finally, he dismisses his mother, Alicent, from the council. He has rid himself of dissenters.
Yeah, that always goes well. See, okay, one thing that I liked about the first, or just the way that they were setting Aemond's story up until through the end of the first season, is that he wasn't just like this caricature monster. And now I worry that he's veering a little bit that way, and I hope that they do something to humanize him a bit again.
Well, he did have his Homelander moment. You know, when he had his hot steamed milk with his mommy sex worker.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely got some mommy issues. Because I said last week, I think he is her least favorite child.
Her favorite, least favorite child?
No, her least favorite child.
Oh, okay. You were just correcting yourself. Yeah. It's very much Lucille Bluth going, I don't care much for Job, right? But then also Alicent puts her hand on his cheek and really like talks to him. And we actually see her stand up for him more than anyone else, right? Like she literally stabbed Rhaenyra for him.
Yeah, but the way she was talking to him was very like, she had to know that was going to piss him off. Like it was very condescending, very like, haven't you let go of your childish pains?
That was to hurt him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think she's awful to Aemond, but I think that he increasingly deserves it.
Yeah, it's really interesting to watch her sort of reflect on her life throughout this episode. And the last one, she kind of did it too, but this one, I think even more. She's like, oh my God, I might be the problem.
Yeah. Cute Taylor Swift again. I'm not even a Swiftie. I don't know why this show keeps making me think of Taylor Swift songs. I'm gonna have a
sidebar here. Taylor Swift is not a girl's girl, and I'm just gonna come out and say it. Taylor Swift has recently been timing her release of bonus tracks. And when I say bonus tracks, I mean alternate versions of songs that are already out. Not new music, but alternate pressings of songs that are already out. She's been timing them to keep new and upcoming women who are artists from topping the charts.
Really? I did not know that was a thing.
This has been a thing. She did it to Billie Eilish, Chappelle Roan, and I think somebody else too. Sabrina Carpenter, I think too. Like all these people who are up and coming, she's like deliberately, like the first time it happens, you're like, okay, maybe just bad timing, right? But it seems to be deliberate at this point. It's multiple artists now that every time they have a new release, she puts out another version of one of her songs so that it counts as a separate chart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't, maybe I should bite my tongue because I don't want to get all the Swifties riled up, but I just do have a feeling from her. I'm not into pop music in general per se. And she just, when she sings her songs, sometimes I like them, but like I watched her concert movie and it just felt so superficial.
I get you. I'm certainly not against Taylor Swift as an artist. I think pop music is its own art. Sure. And I've enjoyed many of her songs, but I'm just here to speak. I'm here to speak for the Chappelle Roans and Billie Eilishes of the world, who will speak up for them.
Yeah. No, she doesn't have the soul of Billie Eilish. And anyway. Sorry, Swifties.
All right, Swifties. Enjoy your music. Tell your girl to stop messing with my girls. Anyway, I really liked Aemond walking around the room and just being like, so we're all agreed then. You know, just really intimidating every single person. I caught a couple shots here that I put in the show guide where he's just leaning over somebody's shoulder and just menacing them.
Right. With his Aemond spreading, always the arms wide.
Yeah. He's a funny dude. He's a funny dude. What do you think of his strategy here of let's go to Harrenhal right away? Let's go take it. It's kind of the opposite of what Kristen Cole was doing. And also he is withholding Vhagar now.
Also, he's withholding what? Sorry, I missed that.
Vhagar.
Vhagar. Yeah, I think he is being very cocky and short-sighted and thinks like, oh, I've been the clever one, but doesn't. It's okay. I've talked about what's it called? The Dunning-Kruger curve.
Okay.
Where basically when you learn something new, you're like, okay, now I'm learning to be a leader. And like, at first you're earnest and then you're like, oh, now I've learned a bit. Okay. And now I've learned absolutely everything. I know everything and I am the best. But that's actually when you're standing on top of Mount Stupid. And then something after that happens where you realize, oh, I know nothing. And you fall into the pit of despair. And then that's when you actually start learning. And he's definitely on the top of Mount Stupid right now.
He got a little cocky, I think, especially this triarchy business. I think this is really dangerous what he's doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can understand, but I think how old he was? He was just a child when they were fighting with them before, right? So
the first war, he wasn't even born.
Okay.
And the second war, he was a child. Actually, no, they had just finished the last war, like just before the Dance of Dragons started. Because remember, that was why they were all in King's Landing. They were Corlys was mortally wounded.
Yeah.
And they were debating the succession of Driftmark.
Yeah. So I think that Aemond's fatal flaw, though, is that he's the case of the, bullied child who grows up to be a bully himself. And he just completely forgets that, you need other people to be your allies, whether it's Laris or the Smallfolk.
Mm-hmm.
You need these people to like you, and you can't just be a dick because you're fake king.
Right. And he is sending his dissenters away. That's one thing I wanted to mention is reminds you a lot of Rhaenyra sending away Alfred Broom, huh?
Yeah, well, it just reminds me a lot of real world examples, and it never ends well.
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly seen in recent years certain politicians be like, well, I'm just going to fill people with loyalists. I'm going to fill my whole group of advisors with loyalists.
Right. And that's exactly how you just get it stuck into bad ruts and going the wrong way.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this scene?
No. That it's just, I want to see him soften up again. Just, I'm biting my tongue to not say book things. But anyway.
That's fine. Elysia, before I got sick, I was planning on asking you if you wanted to do a book spoiler section. But I think let's just save it till the end of the season at this point.
Yeah.
We only got 2 more episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go on to Corlys' first day and Stefan's last. Corlys tries on his new hand of the Queen pin while Rhaenyra summons Sir Darklyn, and to inform him that he has Targaryen blood and may be able to claim a dragon. He accepts the challenge.
Oh.
I think not a lot to say here, right? This is kind of just a setup for later.
Yeah, I knew he was going to die, but and maybe that was also part of the problem too. Like, I wasn't really in suspense for this, even though, well, we'll talk about the dragon part when we get to it.
It's funny because I forgot his name from the book, and I was like, wait, I don't remember him riding a dragon, but so that probably means he dies, but I can't quite remember. And then, of course he died. Viserys scolds Daemon in his dreams. Daemon dreams himself into the throne room again to find his brother Viserys waiting for him. Viserys delivers the same monologue he did to Daemon in season 1 after he caught rumor of Daemon calling Viserys' son the heir for a day. Viserys removes his crown as Daemon tries to escape, only to fall forward as the door is opened by Simon Strong, whom Daemon threatens.
Can I tell you what did make me happy about this scene?
Okay.
Well, I did say Paddy Considine being back, but specifically watching the inside the episode little mini docs they put on YouTube, and just watching him in his Viserys costume with the wig and everything, talking as Patty Considine, like with this mannerisms and the accent. It's just such like a disconnect and delightfully like unhinged, it felt like.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. And the one interesting detail is he takes his crown off, which was not, as I recall, in the original scene.
No.
So what's that about?
I mean, I guess his crown is gone. He's dead.
Okay. I'm just curious if there's any prophecies. There's another thing later that I thought was perhaps prophetic. And this show is really messing with my head on that. Are they trying to foreshadow something later with that? So, and then you have him threatening Simon Strong, of course. Poor Simon. He just wants to sit and eat his peas. And he's got a dagger in his face. And if you look at that screenshot I took, man, Daemon is unhinged. He's like laughing in the face of Simon as he holds a dagger like at his nose.
Yeah. No, he was definitely I mean, I think, how long has this been going on? And I guess it makes sense that we don't really know from his perspective, but with this, like, where he can't tell if he's awake or asleep or having visions or nightmares or talking to Alice.
Watch him be like, Daemon, you've been here 3 days.
Yeah.
He has no idea where he is and when he is.
Some people can't handle Harrenhal. What can I say?
Yeah. Alice then outside soothes Daemon as he attempts to flee Harrenhal on Caraxes. Alice calls him out on his running away. She speaks as if she knows his mind and says Rhaenyra's lack of desire for the crown makes her a better ruler and a better heir for Viserys. She calls the crown a burden to be borne, not a prize to bear. They speak of Grover Tully's failing health, and she tells him in 3 days' time, the winds will shift.
First of all, I need the costume designer to call me immediately and give me that whole look with like the gloves going into the sleeves and everything.
You want the vibe, huh?
I like the vibe. And an owl, obviously, to go with it. I'll have to negotiate that with my cats, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, Alice is, of course, as a witchy woman, one of the wisest people in the show.
Daemon Targaryen asking me for advice? Counsel. It's just like, what? My God.
Semantics.
Yeah, exactly. The whole thing with Grover, I think we kind of talked about a little bit in our intro, but the reluctant hero trope has now been invoked here. And in defense of tropes, which is a series that I'm going to try to do at some point,
right?
An independent podcast I'm going to try to do at some point. I think it's a very effective trope, right? Is this idea that the most effective leaders, the ones who are the kindest, the ones that are the most effective at, keeping people happy, are the ones who didn't want the job in the first place.
Right. Well, yeah, you want a leader who's not in it for the power or whatever, in it for the wrong reasons.
For the realm. I always liked how Varys would say that in Game of Thrones.
Varys is one of the most underrated characters in this entire universe.
Oh, they botched him in season 8.
Well, I mean, fine. I don't even remember what they did to him at the end, to be honest.
They just burned him alive because he like all of a sudden, I don't want to relitigate this. Anyway, the point is, I think they botched his character arc. But yeah, he had like the best quotes. The riddles, the I'm here for the realm, not for the leaders.
I just appreciate it because I was thinking, like, especially when I was thinking Miss Arya was, trying to take advantage of, trying to manipulate Rhaenyra, and then I was also obviously thinking about Larys. I was thinking these whisperers always seem to be in it for themselves and just trying to manipulate people, and then I was like, but you know what, Varys, I really did believe that he did it for the greater good.
I think you're right. So then we move on to Stefan making an attempt. He attempts to claim sea smoke with the help of the Dragon Keepers. He believes he has succeeded when sea smoke burns him and some Dragon Keepers alive.
Yeah, obviously I would be curious to hear if people who didn't know he was going to die were surprised by that, because I was just like the whole time, I was like, stop looking back at Rhaenyra, look at the dragon. Oh no, man, come on.
I think Sea Smoke was like, this guy got cocky, and I will not suffer that.
Yeah, it did seem like Sea Smoke almost went for it, but he was just like, no, I pick my own date.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a fake out. I thought it was he changed his mind based on the way that Darklyn acted.
Maybe, I don't know. I need some better definition of like the dragon bonding. I hope that we get that. And it looks like, I mean, obviously, yeah, this is just the beginning of dragon bonding theory, as they say in the episode. That's not a spoiler.
Right. And
so I hope we see a pattern emerge about how it works.
Yeah, and did you notice the way that they died was quite different between Stefan and the Dragon Keepers? Stefan, he's rolling. He's rolling all day long. He watched the safety videos in kindergarten.
The Dragon Keepers slit their own throats. Yeah.
Yep. Because they, at the point that the dragon fire hits them, they're like, yeah, I'm done. I'd rather not burn alive.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were prepared for it. Apparently they have these knives just for that, these dragon glass knives.
Yeah. Smart. Tragic, but smart.
I guess that's a risk of the trade.
Yeah. Shall we talk about hats?
I think you're going to talk about Alan's hat.
I sure am. Corlys invites Alan to serve with him. When Alan resists, Corlys insists. Also, Alan's hat is definitely not hiding anything.
I mean, I liked the whole scene. It was cool to see in the behind the scenes thing how they like faked him having white stubble on his head, and they got like a head double from one of the extras, and and they like sprayed it with stuff, and they had like this fake razor, and they really went to great lengths to make that scene happen, to show how he's like trying to hide his Valyrianness, his Targaryenness. Okay, I'm almost afraid to bring this up because it got heated on the Discord about this. But do you have any feelings about the fact that they changed Adam's hair? Because both the brothers have white hair in the books, and that's kind of a plot point. And now Adam has black hair, and combined with that, they're aged up. So they can't be Laenor's sons, like the rumors in the book.
I think they leaned so far into Laenor's sexuality in the show that was not as prominent in the books that, like, I think it would be silly to try to sell the audience that they were Laenor's sons.
But I don't think the idea was to sell the audience, because even in the books, they're like, well, yeah, this is what somebody's saying, but we don't really think that because Laenor was famously into dudes. But then, I could see them trying to pass it publicly off as that because they didn't want to embarrass Rhaenys.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I don't have a problem with them doing that. They got rid of a son of, Helena and Aegon. That I think that's a board
which I think caused. I mean, I think that caused a big problem with the blood and cheese situation. But
right, yeah. That I would say is a much bigger and more important change than this. I'm totally fine with them not having black hair. I think the Discord conversation, yes, you're right, got a little heated because I think people get really passionate about this world, and I get that. For me, I'm just like, George is not a god. He's every now and then he's just gonna do something that feels like a rule, and then he's later just gonna change his mind and be like, you know what? I don't like that as a rule that's gonna cover everything in my world. I'm gonna do something different. And then what was previously thought of as a rule, maybe he didn't explicitly say it, right? It's not necessarily a contradiction. But what was before thought as a rule is proven not to be a rule. For example, Daenerys being able to survive burning alive, right? Like that is something that no other Targaryen has done.
Right. Well, that was supposed to be a one-time thing, and then the show really ran with it. But no, for me, it's not even about the inconsistency of, like, sometimes he really tries to make it like, do you get it? They're bastards because of the hair. Do you get it? You get it? Pointing very hard at that. But it's not even about that for me. It was just my point on the Discord when we talked about it earlier was just about the fact that, there was a theory that maybe Sea Smoke was mistaking him for Laenor in some way or something like that. And I was like, well, wouldn't that make more sense if he still had the white hair like Laenor?
But I don't think the dragons are that dumb. You know, like I don't think he thinks it's Laenor. I don't think he would have thought it was Laenor, even if he had blonde
more
hair.
of like a reminding of like, there's obvious. I mean, they're half brothers.
Yeah, they are, and I just think that it's more like, you know, rather than being like almost exactly like Laenor, it's like he's kind of a kindred spirit, and I think that that's cool. I think that's something that Sea Smoke vibed with as he looked down and saw this guy looking up into the sky, watching the dragons while he should be working.
Well, I have to assume because, you know, just when they changed Rhaenys's hair the other way too. But then that immediately made sense. You know, they're trying to really show her dragon rideriness. And in this case, I have the feeling maybe they made Adam's hair black just to show that, that even he feels more distant from it. Like he was saying, like to Alan, why aren't you claiming our birthright and getting us closer to our birth father and the privilege? And now it's showing that he has that much harder to work just because he doesn't wear it on his sleeve until this moment, at least.
Right. Yeah, and I think, I don't recall the exact phrasing, but I feel like Adam said something in that line that was basically like, at least you are, you know, one of them, basically.
Right.
I'm not, you know, we're not even sure about me technically. We don't have ancestry DNA here. We're not totally sure if
23 in Westeros me, no.
Yeah, 23 in Targ me. Yeah. But anyway, the point is, I think they're very sure that Alan is of Valyrian blood. They are not so sure about Adam until perhaps the end of this episode.
Yeah, maybe that is a thing where the book like makes it a little harder for me to step away from what I already know.
Yeah. Well, I am going to go with it.
Yeah, no, I'm going with it. So I always would get these two brothers' names confused, and you know how I keep them apart? Now I can say it. I keep them apart because Adam is D for dragon.
That's funny. I like that. So, all right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we will resume. We'll be right back with more House of the Dragon. And we're back with more House of the Dragon. The servants stir the empty pot. Well, Ulf, oh man, it's hard to say. I feel like for some reason, like it really gets you in the glottal, I don't know, epiglottis. Well, Ulf complains about the lack of food at a local pub. Sylvie and Diana put on a public performance under the guise of casual conversation, in which they talk about the lavishness of the Greens and the Red Keep, while the Smallfolk are starving. Sylvie says Viserys' rightful heir was denied her seat. People are getting a little cranky, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was very clever how they set it up. I have a random aside question about Ulf. Do you think I have the hardest time telling his and Hugo's faces apart, and I just have to pay attention to their hair? But do you think they intentionally cast them to look alike?
I don't know. I've never had a hard time telling them apart.
Okay, it's just a me
I think
thing.
the first time we saw him from the back, I was like, oh, is that Hugh? And then he turned around and I said, no, definitely not.
Oh, I get, well, the hair is the one thing that looks different to me, but their faces look so similar to me, like their builds and stuff. But anyway, no, I think that this is, I prefer this type of plan that Rhaenyra and Mysaria were doing with like, let's use propaganda instead of nuclear bombs, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think Sylvie is doing a great job selling the casualness of the conversation.
Yeah, and maybe not necessarily, but it doesn't matter. It worked on Ulf and a bunch of other people.
I think she's doing a good job. I think
Sylvie did a good job, but with the other one, sorry. I actually thought Diana did a better job and Sylvie was being more obvious.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I'm really surprised though. Were you surprised to see Sylvie as part of this plan? Because she's all in with Aemond and she seems to be all into like trying to, you know.
Yeah, do you think she just feels slighted now after what happened that one night?
Maybe, or maybe she was with it all along. Maybe it's something where like, okay, maybe we have our shifting loyalties, but if Mother Mysaria calls, then we answer.
Yeah. Or what if she was spying on him the whole time?
That's a good question, too. I mean, he's been going to her since he was, what, like 13, he said?
Right.
Which
Yeah,
is
I get the
gross and
trust.
groomy, but...
But then again, yeah, how much choice did she get in this life?
Oh, yeah, I'm not blaming her. She definitely did not have a choice there, which is awful as well. My point is, I think perhaps Mysaria would have recruited her early as a window into the royals.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's why she ended up with her own house, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that could be how she gets ahead. And she also, I noticed that there's at least one white blonde dancer in her house too, who I assume is another Targaryen. I don't know. I'm wondering if the people we've been seeing in the backgrounds, I'm wondering if they're going to try to claim dragons now too.
To claim Dragonstone, you said?
To claim dragons.
Oh,
now.
to claim dragons.
Now,
I was like, wait a minute. Dragonstone. I feel like that's...
No, you don't get the whole island.
Yeah, and I feel like Dragonstone is like the most overrated territory ever if you take out the dragons.
I mean, I guess it is. It's in between like the Westeros and Essos, and you are protected by the sea. So as long as you just like have a good stock of ships to get in and out and enough navy to hold it open, then it's a good seat.
Fair enough.
Serve Stan.
Fair enough. Well, we know Ulf's unhappy. They really sell this whole episode like everyone's mad about the food situation, right? Like nobody is happy about this.
Yeah. No, I mean that food looked gnarly and what little there was, and he's got a... Oh wait, no, see, now I forget. Oh, so Hugo's the one with the dying daughter, right?
Hugh,
right. Sorry, I don't know why I said Hugo.
Yeah, Hugh has the dying daughter. Ulf is just a bachelor going out, he's telling stories, getting drinks. He's having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
So the next scene I've titled Lord Celtigar Catches Hands. Lord Bartimos Celtigar follows Rhaenyra while lamenting the loss of Stefan Darklyn and insisting his plans are better. Rhaenyra slaps him and says, I think it's my fault that you've forgotten to fear me.
I hate to see her have to do that, but you have been seeing over the last episodes this building of the questioning her and trying to undermine her. And yeah, I can see why she was like, no, I need to take this step and just like put people in their place again.
Yeah. I think she was kind of in the right to do it, right? It's like they're all like, you don't have the guts to have a sword and all that and go to battle. Meanwhile, none of them have fought a war ever.
Right.
And so I kind of think she's justified here.
And she was doing it for her and Alicent's both, because Alicent would love to slap some people but can't.
Well, didn't she slap Kristen Cole like 2 episodes ago?
Yeah, well, he deserves
beat that guy
more.
up. I guess that was in private though.
Yeah.
And I love that also. It looks like they're in private here too. Oh, I guess there's 2 people in the back. I was looking at the screenshot just now because for me, I was like, wait, did Celtigar just like go around Dragonstone being like, she hit me?
Is it bruising?
Did you hear what Rhaenyra did to me? I had to take 2 ibuprofen.
I put ice on my cheek. You're lucky you have ice.
Well, it looks like there are witnesses in the background, so I can back off a little bit.
They said the servants saw it. Yeah.
Well, Mysaria brings advice. Well, Rhaenyra complains to Mysaria about her failure of a plan with Stefan Darklyn, who she says had the strongest claim. Mysaria says they have laid the kindling for their plan involving the hunger of the King's Landing, and that tonight they will light it. We cut to Kat in King's Landing, unable to get food for her family. Well, livestock are brought to the Red Keep. Ulf loudly protests.
Yeah, I mean, I had the idea that when the women, Sylvie and Diana, were talking in the bar, that maybe they were like embellishing things to anger people, but then they did not arrange for these sheep to be carted through like this. So, and of course, yeah, it is for the dragons. They did say it's for the dragons eat while we starve.
Yeah, I mean, at first I thought it was for the Red Keep, but then you see the sheep and you're understanding that this is all for the dragons. Like they are just, it is 100% war effort.
Right.
you can bend this whole thing like more than you can in like modern politics where you say, well, we should be taking care of our own before we go fight a war. This is literally, we're feeding the war machines before we feed our people.
And I was just thinking, going back to the beginning of the episode, Jason Lannister, he's asking his host to host an army of 1,000 and lions. But then not only that, he's like, plus, I want to call the biggest dragon over here. So, like, just empty your fields.
Oh, that's so bad. It's so bad. It's just let the people eat. And Kat, of course, it's tragic because she's got the dying daughter.
Yeah, I don't have a good feeling that daughter's going to make it. Has she even? I guess she has spoken. I guess she was awake.
I think she was for a brief moment. But I mean, I think
she's pale.
We are leading towards a radicalization moment for those two. And I'm not talking book spoilers. I'm talking strict show. It seems like they're pointing me in the direction of these people are going to get radicalized.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Kat doesn't. Well, never mind.
I just don't think we get a lot of information about Hugh in the book. Is what we can say.
Yeah.
So Aemond rejects Larys. Larys informs Aemond the unrest of the Smallfolk. He puts himself forth as Hand of the King, and Aemond tells him to go get Otto instead. Orwell arrives to report on the king's impressive healing progress.
Yeah. So I have a feeling that Aemond was like basically told Orwell to keep Aegon sicker longer. Like that was the impression that I got in the episode.
Yeah.
Like Orwell's
definitely.
Okay.
Not necessarily sicker, but less conscious, right? Like give him as much milk of the puppy as he can stand.
Right. Then again, yeah, if I were having all of my skin burned off and like going through that of a recovery, then I might want to sleep through it as much as possible.
Right. Yeah, no, I wouldn't blame Aegon. And his mother asks a question later on, if he recovers, what will he be? And that's really tragic. And I don't want to start defining people by the amount of pain that they live with or defining people by their illnesses. But I do think that she raises a good question: is how much pain is he going to be in for the rest of his life?
Well, I think it's also what Lara says later, that the way people are going to treat him.
Yeah, that's true too. I think Alicent has shown herself to be quite superficial.
Well, yeah.
I really did enjoy watching Larys took us handed to him, though. I mean, the way the screenshot I got where he's looking like, oh, I messed up, I overplayed my hand. really made me laugh.
Yeah, well, this is also, he realizes like, okay, I got to get this other baby king back out of bed and on my side. I
mean, he already left the loyalty of Alicent. Now he's loyal to Aemond, and now he's going. Well, he went from Alicent to Aegon to Aemond back to Aegon.
Yeah, I feel like with Alicent, we're just seeing the patriarchy closing in around her, and her realization that she enabled that. Like she basically built this prison for herself.
Yeah, and I said something on the bonus take last night, but I'll say it here because that's for subscribers only. I think Alicent's remaining power, because I saw there was some chatter on the feedback, and I didn't finish your feedback episode yet, but there was some chatter in the feedback of like, well, were David and I right to say that Alicent's out of power? And they said, well, she has her dad over here, she has Kristen Cole over here, all this kind of thing. And I was like, everything that you've listed here is something that she relies on a man for. Like she doesn't have an independent base of power that doesn't rely on a man doing her a favor.
Right. And the opportunities she had for that, she squandered.
Right, exactly.
Because in favor of her father or her sons,
Right. And if she ever tries to insist she has power, then all they need to say to her is, well, Mama Alicent, you're the one who said a woman can't sit the Iron Throne. You're the one who put your son on the Iron Throne, because it was ridiculous that your childhood best friend could ever be queen.
If I didn't watch this first thing in the morning, I would make it a drinking game to take a shot every time they said Dowager Queen, Dowager Queen.
Oh, they're really. I didn't even put it in the show notes, but remember they said before, like, oh, maybe we marry off the Dowager Queen to the to the Greyjoys.
Okay, biting my tongue.
It's a dark suggestion. The Greyjoys don't have a reputation for kindness towards women.
No, but I am curious. Like they've portrayed the Greyjoys interestingly in the prior show, so I'm curious if they like continue that or.
Yeah, I would love to see more Greyjoys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in general, I wanted to see more of Winterfell. I think next season we might, but I thought we were going to get more this season. I want more. Yeah.
Do
more
you think
everything.
It's kind of shocking that we only have one more season?
Wait, is it? I thought that they were talking like 4.
I've heard 3 this entire time.
Oh, I know. I've heard like 4, maybe even 5, but mostly 4 is what I've heard.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong because I feel like we can't possibly finish the story in one more season.
No, I was assuming 4 because I was, I took the book and I like blocked out the part that I think that they're going to cover. And it's like 200 pages, but I think like the first part goes really quickly. I think we went through like the first. But yeah, no, I thought 4 seasons. I don't know.
All right. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong and it's not 3 seasons because I think it's going to be really rushed if they try to do it in one more season. So the next stop for Aemond is, of course, a visit to his lovely brother. He interrupts the treatment of Aegon to deliver his council orb and cause him great pain while asking what he remembers. Aemond insists to Grand Maester Orwyle that Aegon has a long recovery in front of him. Pretty dark.
Yeah. I mean, they zoomed in with that, like peeling that skin off of him, like, oof, ugh.
Oh, I hated it.
It was a lot.
I hated it, and I don't want it again.
And keep in mind, I watched this first thing in the morning.
Did you even have coffee yet?
I mean, yeah, I was watching coffee while doing it, but then like thinking about the coffee burning the top of my mouth, like
That's pretty yeah, you don't want that. That it really did sell how horrific his injuries were.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's hard to be alive with that.
Yeah.
And then the way that Aemond leans in on the injuries is so brutal.
Yeah, no, he's really going like full like villain mode, and I need him to pull back just a little bit, just because I liked that extra complexity where the whole thing with Luce was like an oopsie, but then he played it off because he's a cool guy.
It was all an accident, and we kind of got that at the beginning of the season, even when he was talking with Sylvie, he's like, I do feel badly that I did that.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy hasn't stopped mewing since like 2005. I mean.
I did not know what mewing was, and I do it 24/7. It's just a thing and a lot of people do. I realize, like, it's just a normal way to hold your mouth.
Yeah, they just made up a funny name for it because that's how the Gen Zers are.
Right. Like, and then someone was telling me, like, well, you shouldn't do it all the time because I was like, what? I don't understand. Like, I close my mouth, and my tongue is touching the roof of my mouth. Like, I don't understand how other people's mouths work, I guess.
That's pretty funny. That makes me laugh. So Rhaena, I'm sorry. Now I'm feeling sassy with Aemond. Maybe I'm mewing too much. Rhaena discovers deceit. She gives a pep talk to Joffrey before they come across clear evidence of a dragon attack on sheep. Upon their return to the Eyrie, we see the 2 youngest sons of Rhaenyra playing with toys while one of their dragons stands by. Jane Arryn arrives to inform Rhaena that Reggio Haratis has agreed to shelter them in Pentos. Rhaena calls her out on withholding the information about a large dragon in the Vale. Jane claims it is large, formidable, and wild. Now, I've not added this dragon to the show guide yet because it's not been named, and you need a name to be in the show guide.
It's been, I don't know, killing sheep, stealing sheep, something. There's sheep involved.
I'm just going to say this. George was not the most creative with this name.
Hey, that's how human language works.
I know. It's funny. Like, people make fun of Tolkien with Mount Doom. And, like,
right.
You look at the world, like, that's just kind of how, like, literally, I've gone to Bear Mountain with my family. Like, that's just what things are named in the real world. I mean,
we burn things in a fireplace. Like, come on.
Right.
You know what gloves are called in Dutch and German?
What?
Hand shoes.
But then why do I drive on the parkway and park in the driveway?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now I'm bothered. Now I'm hot and bothered.
Oh, no, here's a way more important question. Where do I get a baby dragon that never grows up?
That's a great question. They do look great. You do see why Jane would be pissed at this dragon coming to protect them, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, but then also Raina's like, well, wait a minute. You didn't mention there seems to be a very large dragon around here somewhere. You didn't even mention that was here, which is, by the way, not how it is in the book. This dragon is not in the Vale.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a big book change regarding this dragon.
Oh yeah, for sure. They've set it up, and I'm on board with it because I think we can say that there is a popular book character that it's been speculated is not in the show, and they're combining storylines, which makes sense. That's what happens in adaptations, and in this case, I can see why these two storylines do particularly dovetail together well. And one of my complaints going back to the first season is I just think that Lena and her daughters have gotten the short shrift, except for Bela got to be awesome recently. But overall, like I feel like they haven't been able to be developed enough. Instead, we're spending forever in Damon's dreams and Harrenhal with characters from last season. So I think that this is a chance to flesh Rhaena out more.
Well, also Jace, I think, has gotten a leg up in his role too. I think that all the kids are really getting more screen
which
time
makes
now.
sense. Which makes sense, but I still think that the girls have been short shrifted, and this could help fix that because Jace is getting a lot more screen time now. But we didn't even see Bela this episode, did we?
No. I think you're right. I think they are still getting shortchanged more than Jace is. Jace was shortchanged as much as they were last season, but now he's gotten a lot more screen time. It's the hair, right? Like they made the hair better. Yeah, I mean, did you see TikTok? Y'all are disgusting. Just thirsting after this man.
How old is he's too young for me.
They just say he's serving face in every scene.
Yeah, sure. I mean, sure he is, but he still looks like a teenager to me.
They keep saying that him and Aemond are like Zoolander and what's the character?
Owen Wilson's name.
Yeah.
What was his name? Oh, shoot.
See? Like Hans or something?
Yeah, it is Hans.
Anyway.
He can't turn left.
Yeah, it's just like Jace is Zoolander. It's very
Zoolander can't turn left. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But yes, this is so true.
Just two people having a mewing contest. That's what the show has become.
Blue Steel.
Blue Steel. So yeah, people are photoshopping him onto Zoolander doing Blue Steel now. All right, let's move on. Alan gets a clean shave. He shaves his blonde hair that looks awfully like Valyrian hair. Adam encourages Alan to seize his opportunity, but Alan insists they will never be recognized and should stop waiting. We kind of talked about this before, but do you have anything else to say about these brothers?
No, I mean, I think it's interesting how they're being set up to that Alan is the one that Corlys keeps reaching out to, presumably, I guess, because of the hair. That must be why they did the hair change. But Adam's the one who wants it more. So that's an interesting dynamic to set up, especially now that we throw a dragon into the mix later.
Just toss him in. I bet you could toss the Targaryen baby's dragon somewhere. You know, you could toss him.
Oh, no, into my lap.
Look, they have wings. They'd have a soft landing. You know, they'd be fine. I think they'd love playing toss him up.
Now I'm imagining like how they would get along with my cats. I don't know.
I mean, they're basically like the size of a chihuahua, so.
Yeah, but if they like burp, does fire come out?
I don't know. I'm thinking it's like Pip in The Acolyte. They're kind of that personality.
Sure. Yeah, but Pip only like spits oil sometimes, but he
Which,
doesn't
by the
light
way,
your house on fire.
People were not reacting enough to oil being shot into their eyes.
You think?
That still hurts.
He only did it to one person. The other, to Basil, he shot water. He only shot oil at me.
Okay, fair enough. Rhaenyra complains to Jace. Jace affirms Rhaenyra's dual identity as his mother and his queen before doubting their ability to win the war without Daemon. Mysaria informs the queen that her gift is sent. Rhaenyra hopes for clouds over the Blackwater tonight. We cut to a struggling fisherman receiving boats of food carrying the black banners of Rhaenyra. Genius plan.
Great plan. The one thing I noticed here is that Jace seems to have he felt cut out of the planning. And then, he asks about it. And maybe once they cut away, she told him, but it seems like they're setting up something there where he's like, you're not even letting me in on the plans.
Yeah, but at the same time, Jace didn't tell his mom about the twins, right? So kind of at fault there too. I don't know.
Well, he told her after he got back, at least.
Yeah, and she might have told him after she did the boats when they arrived, right? My whole point is I think there could be a little bit more communication in this family generally.
Yeah.
But I did really enjoy when he goes, look, my mother is my queen, and that's cool. Like, that's awesome. And that's something that I think that it honestly speaks to, and speaking as a white man, it speaks to something in current feminist discussions where it's like, especially with women in the workplace kind of discussions, right? Is, can I be a powerful executive while still being a mother? They're told if you're not at work enough, you are, choosing motherhood over work. If you're at work too much, you're a bad mother. And it's this dual identity that these people are forced to hold that keeps them, it's like this quiet oppression. And I think Rhaenyra's really been feeling that recently. And I like that he goes, you don't have to choose one. You are both to me. Right. And I love that.
I mean, she also just had to send, most of her remaining children away. So that's hard because she's doing it to be a good mother, but also becomes a bad mother by doing it because she's not there to raise them.
Right. And, we did have, I think we had a piece of feedback, and I totally agree with this feedback, that, we always talk about Rhaenyra being a good mother, Alicent being a bad mother. Who's talking about the fathers? Great question. I think the problem is in this world, in this Song of Ice and Fire world, the fathers are just assumed to be absent most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, but you would think that it could be a plot point that they, somebody gets frustrated about it. I feel like Laenor was a good father, even though he wasn't really. Like,
yeah, I think him and Harwin were good brother husbands.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Is that actually those kids, the strong boys, they got the best of all worlds.
Yeah, and
that's probably why Jace is so level-headed now.
Right.
Relatively.
Meanwhile, Bill is like, I might hate my dad. I'm not totally sure about that.
I mean, even she's got it better than. Well, yeah. I don't know who's worse. I mean, because Daemon, he liked Baela, at least. He was more into Baela than Rhaena because Baela's a dragon rider.
Right. They would go hang out. He's the kind of dad that shows up when you're 21 and can drink, right? Like that's just a trope. That's just a trope, and I think it's a true trope, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's okay, Rhaena. Just go get a dragon and Daddy will love you again.
Exactly. Fly down to Harrenhal. He'll be like, Rhaena, you can come help me convince the Riverlords to bow down to me now.
Yes.
He'd be like, did you poison me, though? I don't know. Anyway, I really like this whole plan with the food, and that's going to really come to fruition later.
Yeah.
Orwyle gives the company line. Under threat of Aemond, Orwyle informs Alicent that while he hopes Aegon will live, the recovery may be slow and painful. Alicent asks what he will be if he lives, and Orwyle dodges the question. He tells her he cannot reach Otto, and that the Reach is at war due to the death of Lyman Beesbury at the hand of Criston Cole.
Right, good callback.
Yeah, I really love that. Like, Kristen's race, and she gets it, right? Like, she's like, oh man, I have given these stupid men all this power.
So for anybody who forgets, Beesbury was the guy who got one of those council balls to the head from Criston Cole last season.
Yeah, Criston took him, he shoved him. Actually, did he get it to the head? I thought he got shoved into the chair.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so he got a head to the ball.
I thought his neck went through the spike of the chair.
No, didn't he get the ball in his face?
Well, we're going to have to look up the gore later.
All right.
Because maybe somebody write it. How did Lord Beesbury die? Conspiracy theories only.
Yeah, wrong answers only.
I think in the book they said, like, some people said Criston Cole shoved him into the chair, or Kristen Gold killed him. Other people said he was in the dungeons and he died accidentally. But what we can agree on is that he was the first death in the war. I was like, that's a nice way to put it. George knows how to write when he wants to.
I mean, I think he's a superlative writer, and everyone needs to leave him alone.
I don't know. He's due a little pressure after 13 years. Anyway, this whole thing with the war in the Reach, of course, we see the Greens sort of causing their own problems yet again. And Alicent clocks right away, right? She's like, this isn't what you told me before. Why is he like this?
Why is he like this? I mean, yeah, what?
Why is Aegon so completely out of it when you told me he was fine like 3 hours ago?
Right. Well, this was what made me suspect that maybe they're intentionally making it worse because Aemond said to.
Yeah, I thought so right away, right after Aemond says, hey, he has a long recovery ahead of him, don't you think?
Right, exactly. Yeah, wink, wink.
Yeah, he absolutely was just telling him, go take care of my problems for me. Also, I just want to call back to Daemon. Wig watch was off this season, this episode on him. His wig line was so visible, and I was disappointed.
Oh, I didn't notice. I mean, it looks wiggy and his hair was like must because he's having his dream panic. But I didn't notice the wig line.
Well, I was on Wig Watch this episode. Okay, I know the Ringer does that every week. I don't usually do that, but this time, and here's the problem. If it stands out to me, then it's really noticeable because I don't usually notice.
Right. No, that's fair.
Well, anyway, Alicent is having a hard time dealing with what's going on with Aegon. So Alicent then goes to another person to ask about her father's whereabouts. Alicent offers her blessing to Gwaine, who confirms he's not heard from their father, Otto. Darren, perhaps the most neglected son of Alicent and Viserys, finally gets a mention. Gwaine says he's 16, stalwart, clever, adept with lute and sword, and the fancy of many a young lady. Above all, he's kind. Alicent wonders if that is because of his placement in Old Town or the lack of her presence. Yes, Alicent. Yes, and.
I mean, her father wasn't there either for most of this, so that's got to do something too.
Oh, yeah. Otto has traumatized everyone, and she helped with that generational trauma for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I was really glad this scene that Alicent and Gwaine got to have this conversation because I have the feeling this is the type of conversation they have very rarely been able to have in their life. And at least they got to do this before he, marches off to war. And of course, noticeably, Crispy, they just exchange sad, betrayed looks. And
little nod.
Dewey, bye.
Little nod. I mean, and she says that he was 8 when he was left alone in Old Town. That's insane. So she'd barely seen him since he was 8.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that her father, that's probably why she wanted to do like everything her father wanted, because this was basically the only immediate family presence in her life.
Right.
I'm so glad that they finally had like a good conversation about Darren, because I was worried. I mean, first of all, it's just so weird that he wasn't mentioned at all, not even once in season 1. Mm-hmm. And then he just got like one kind of name drop that I think most people wouldn't pick up on earlier this season. So I was worried that like he was going to show up and people who didn't know the book were going to be like, who is this and why should I care? So I'm glad we had this conversation.
He's going to, that meme where like there's something driving past and it's just like a car with the music blasting. And it's like, I feel like that was going to be Darren on his dragon just coming in hot.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I like that he's kind of there. He's kind of here now.
Right.
In spirit.
Yeah. So, I mean, presumably they keep mentioning him. Presumably he's going to show up on screen. And now I have a much better feeling that people are going to actually know who he is and care to see him.
Right. I mean, I'm sure they'll be like, look, it's Darren. Like, I think they're gonna end up
the one son that doesn't suck. Oh.
Yeah, and I really do like that. I said this in the beginning, but I really like that this batch of episodes has forced Alicent come into confrontation with her past.
Mm-hmm.
and be like, hey, could I have been better? Like, did I create these monsters? Because she understands now that she's put monsters in power. And I think if she got a do-over, she might just let Rhaenyra be queen.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because I think she sees that, like, this whole thing didn't really work out. Like, this was the whole thing was a bad idea.
I did it to support my son, but he sucks. And now, and I think the worst of it is now that the son that she did it in support of, who didn't really want to be king in the first place, now he is debilitated because of it. And this whole war and that wouldn't have happened.
Right. Yeah, I think the war has caused her nothing but pain. Mm-hmm. And that's really tragic. But also, it's just like, and it's interesting because you're like, yeah, get your justice, right? Like the fact that she's now suffering from all her stupid decisions. But at the same time, you're like, okay, but she's still a mother with children. And I don't know, like you do feel badly for her that she has to watch her children be in pain. Yeah. No matter how awful they are.
Yeah, I mean, Aegon, they made me feel surprising sympathy for this season. At certain moments, not all the time, but now and then.
Yeah, he's definitely a complex character. I mean, I don't think he's any. Well, he is. It depends. He's on a similar monstrous plane as Jaime in early Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I mean, because I think the natural inclination for a lot of people is to want to compare him with Joffrey, and I do not feel like he's a Joffrey. I think Aemond's being much more of a Joffrey now, but even Aemond is not Joffrey bad.
No, because Joffrey was like a cartoonish villain. I think Aemond is less cartoonish. He's more just like, I'm pretty evil and I'm good
cartoonish.
With it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is getting a little cartoonish. But hopefully, like you said, hopefully they balance that out a little bit.
Yeah.
But and I think Kristen is probably the most realistic villain they've ever had. Mm-hmm. Is this incel who just failed upwards.
People hate him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he resonates with so many people. Is like people have known Kristen Coles in their life. They may not control armies and be able to break the world, but they've known Kristen Coles at work, right?
Right. They might like control the thermostat in your office or something like that,
Kristen Cole might be an energy vampire.
Oh, Colin Robinson.
Or Colin Robinson. I've been meaning to rewatch that show. It's so good. So, Helena speaks in riddles. Now, this is a scene I really want to dig into for a minute. Alicent invites Helena to light candles for Aegon and the Lost Souls. Helena talks about her bug, saying, "This one stopped singing. Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
So I put a little... So Notion lets you put out these little call-out boxes. So I did a little question mark, and I said, is this another prophecy? Like, who stopped singing?
Because the thing is, her prophecies thus far have been pretty clear to book readers. And this one...
Yeah, I have no idea.
No, I mean, I guess like my first thought is like someone's going to die, but it's like non-spoiler alert, everybody's going to die. I don't know. Yeah, this one stops singing. I mean, the what's his face who plays Otto, he said he was interviewed and they're like, "Who are you, Team Green or Team Black?" He's like, "I think they're all horrible and I can't wait to see them die."
So whether on screen or centuries later, everybody's going to die.
Centuries
later? Die. Okay, decades later.
Right. Yeah, I don't. Hey, Alice Rivers, there's rumors.
Yeah, how old is she? That's a great question.
Mm-hmm,
knows. I don't know what's going on here. I wonder,
could it be a lot of people are wondering if Laenor died because,
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Because in the book, they haven't established this in the show, though, so this could just be book lore. But a dragon shouldn't be able to bond while their previous rider's alive.
I think that they have very strongly implied that Laenor is dead at this point.
And maybe that's when... But then why would... Because I thought that was maybe why Sea Smoke was, like, freaking out, when Rhaenyra was like, I don't know, he's been upset lately. But then, this seems later, so I guess this would be something else. It seems more like a prediction.
Yeah,
Most of the stuff we've seen for her has been future-focused.
That's true. That's true. I wonder if somebody's going to, like, lose the ability of speech or something. All right. I guess let's go to Ulf, who feeds his family. Oh, no, it's wrong. I have to change this in the show guide right now. Hugh feeds his family. Hugh.
See, I told you they're easy to confuse. They look the same.
Man,
in the
I
face.
made this whole big deal before. And now here I am. Everybody can at me later. It's fine. It's fixed now already.
Now
Hugh
I see.
Feeds his family.
Hugh has more of a beard. I'm looking at the photo.
Yeah, Hugh looks more like a Viking to me.
Yeah.
He gets a bag of food that was sent by Rhaenyra and fights through a mob before he's almost trampled by Alicent and Helena's escort. Yeah. I really wanted to make an Avatar The Last Airbender My Cabbages meme. I just didn't have time today.
Good TikTok.
Yeah, My Cabbages. I love that show. Can do no wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying it. And I heard you talk beef about rewatch podcasts recently. I can't remember where I heard you say that, but I love the Avatar The Last Airbender rewatch podcast. It's with Janet Varney, who played Korra, and Dante Bosco, who played Zuko. It's so good.
Okay, all right. Wasn't Zuko also?
Rufio?
He was also in Hook, right?
Rufio.
Yeah, he was Rufio in Hook. That's like another great. That's got to go on a list at some point.
Yeah, I like that one too. Yeah.
I bet you David hasn't seen it either.
No, you think?
He has a gap of like 1990 to 2005. That's what I've surmised, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So not a lot about the scene, right? He's just getting pushed off to the side. So let's go to Alicent and Helena fleeing.
He's getting mad. He's getting getting ready to. So mad that he could.
So mad that he can get radicalized, let's say.
Right.
Okay, so Alicent and Helena flee. They're forced to flee the steppe when a pro-black riot breaks out. They call Alicent the Queen of Fishes and throw one at her. One of the Kingsguard slices a hand off one of the Smallfolk, leading to increased violence and the death of some of the Kingsguard. Alicent and Helena narrowly escape.
Sheathe your swords, and then they all pulling them out. Like, lady, they are all coming after us. And the behind the scenes thing, they said that she said that when that fish went in her face, it wasn't real fish, it was a prop, but still, it was thrown so hard her head went 360. She said,
"Oh my gosh!"
But she was also like, just do it, just go for it.
I gotta really act it out. You gotta really hit me in the face with a fake fish. Oh man. I loved that shot of them running across the courtyard with Helena holding her mom's hand.
Oh yeah, it was cute. The actress, I don't remember her name, who plays Helena. She was like, I never get to do the running stuff. Yeah,
never gets to do the running stuff. That's funny. Yeah, Fia Saban plays the current iteration of Helena.
She said it was a fun scene because she got to do a little action for once.
Yeah, I'm sure it looked like a lot of fun. Did you recognize any of the Kingsguard who died, or are we just going generic Kingsguard here?
I mean, are we sure they died? Or they just were being beaten?
I thought I saw a couple Kingsguard on the ground.
Okay.
Like being stabbed to death.
I have to assume that it was some of, what did you call it? Like the bro guard?
The bros guard. I don't know. I don't know if they're with them because I thought they were like sworn to protect the king directly.
I don't know. We haven't seen them hanging around his bedroom.
That's true. But what are they going to protect him from? The maesters?
Well.
Fair enough.
His brother.
Yeah, but okay, yeah. Let's watch them take on Aemond. Shortest
they're
fight
just
ever.
Getting out of there, yeah.
Yeah. Larys finally chooses a side. He stops the maesters from giving Aemond Aegon milk of the poppy and gives him his backstory. He mentions his father's belief that someone of their household bewitched his foot. He tries to align their struggles and insists Aegon must keep his mind clear. He says they will underestimate you, and this will be your advantage. He also informs Aegon that Aemond's rule means he is in danger. Now, my question here is the person accused of witchcraft on Larys' foot Alice Rivers?
I assumed yes.
I think that's good lore. That's canon now.
I mean, but I think it's intentionally vague because then you're like, wait, wow, he was a child, so how old is she?
Yeah, she has to be a mystical, non-aging entity now.
I mean, yeah, and also just the fact that I think the actress is Scottish, but they do seem to be specific about what accents they have people do. So the fact that they have her in her Scottish accent implies maybe she's from north of the wall or somewhere else, somewhere with the old gods.
Yeah, she definitely seems to be in tune with the werewood there.
Mm-hmm.
She's like the ghost of the werewood, maybe.
Yeah. No, bird lady standing next to trees. Like, this is my people.
Now, you notice that Larys gave a similar speech to Aemond earlier that he gave to Aegon in an earlier episode, where he's like, oh, your dad had a hand in Otto, but now you're a new king in town and you need a new hand. And that's how he ends up with Kristen Cole. Stupid choice. Now he goes to Aemond and goes, hey, you need a new hand, someone to align with your cunning and whatnot. And that's how he gets shut out of town. And they're like, bring back Otto. Now he's over here and he's like, let me try a new plan because we've already tried this twice now today. And he says, listen, I've got Foot, you've got Burns. Let's ally here.
Lol. Yeah, it's interesting that the way he does it, approaches it though, is like withholding the drugs rather than Larys can't help but be creepy even when he's trying to ally with someone. Like if I were doing it, I would take it and immediately say like, I just want to talk to you quickly first while your head is clear. Not like I'm withholding your drugs so that you are forced to listen to me.
Yeah. He's always very dark. And it's a big problem. Because he has trouble winning people over on the merits, I think. I mean, he does kill people when they get in his way, so I would be a little afraid of him anyway.
Right. I mean, yeah, I will never forgive him for killing his brother when they could have just been happy.
I know. I think that was probably a formative event for the Strongs, and I don't think Rhaenyra ever gets with Daemon if Harwin Strong stays alive.
Right. What would have happened to Daemon without Rhaenyra? Because I feel like she also grounded him, and gave him also an outlet for the fact that, like, another way to think about the throne until he started to covet it more for himself. At least he was closer in that way. I just think he would have been so much more unhinged if they hadn't married.
Yeah, I think he would have either drunk or warred himself to death. We got him picked battles in Essos, or he would have, or just partied until he died.
My fears are more destructive for other people.
Oh, really? You think he would have straight up attacked his brother? I don't think he ever would have attacked Viserys.
I don't know about attacking Viserys, but just he would have been the enfant terrible with a dragon, and in a way that ended up pulling down his whole family, more or less.
Interesting, because he never wants to make a move against Viserys, and Viserys is always like, well, that's my little brother, and I love him, and he can do no wrong.
Yep, and except he consistently does, so.
Right. He only deals with... Viserys had a thing where he would only deal with a problem when it became huge.
Right. He can just, like, the Dutch call it looking through your fingers, where you choose what you see. And he chooses not to see the murder cloak.
Did you notice that Aemond uses the word lickspittles this episode?
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize who's the only other person we ever heard say that?
Was it Daemon?
It was Viserys.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
He says, I'm trying to get the actual quote. My family has just been destroyed, but instead of being by my side or Rhaenyra's, you chose to celebrate your own rise, laughing with your whores and your lickspittles. And I just think it's funny that like Aemond picked up something from his dad. It's a very specific word to use.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. I wonder if the same writer worked on both episodes.
Yeah, we should check that out. Shall we talk about Viserys a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I think I was glad to see him. I think that there was more emotion in it this time, but I think it would have been better if this whole hallucination of him and a hallucination of young Rhaenyra were combined, personally.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Like mesh them together a little bit, do a little weaving in and out. I think
and
you're
then
right.
give Daemon something else to do.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think Daemon has been sitting at Harrenhal a little bit too long, sitting at Haunted Summer Camp. I think Maya said last night on the hot take, she said he's taking LSD in a spirit Halloween.
Right. Oh, I loved Maya's takes last night.
She had fun, I think. She was nervous to come on the air for the first time, but I think she did a good job.
Oh, I didn't come across. She was perfect.
Well, thank you. So Daemon is on top of Aemma's body, holding Viserys as they both cry. Daemon tells Viserys he should have been there with him, and then Simon Strong wakes Daemon from his vision and informs the king consort that Grover Tully has died after Alice Rivers assisted with his treatment. Daemon is relieved.
Yeah. I mean, that feels pretty murdery to me. Oh, just wait 3 days. Oh, she volunteered. And then he just, she did her bestest to kill him. And it worked.
Right. And do you think that, because this is the first time that Alice has ever been referenced by anybody but Daemon.
Right.
Do you think that he was relieved too that she was a real person?
She's a real person. I did see that theory going around that like maybe she wasn't. And I had to bite my tongue because I would have questions about other things if that were the case. But I was kind of relieved to at least put that theory to rest.
Yeah, I kind of like having her be a fake person though. And I know I'm a little spoiled by the book, but even the book is a little bit vague about what she is.
Well, I mean, I have one specific question that I cannot ask if that were the case, but
okay. We can do it on a spoiler pod. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have Oscar Tully in charge of the Riverlands. I had to update a bunch of the geography pages. What do you think? Is he going to pledge to Daemon now, or is he going to do his own thing?
I feel like I need to rewatch their last interaction because he said like his hands were tied, but I mean, yeah, I can't speculate too much about who's going to take what side, but I just wonder what he thinks of Daemon.
The last thing that Daemon said to him before the confrontation that he showed up at but didn't really do anything at, the last thing that Daemon said to him was, well, then what use are you to me? That if you can't,
yeah, kind of dickish.
Yeah, he was not very nice to him at all. So we'll see, but maybe, young man, maybe he wants to feel important and maybe that'll be enough, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it just depends. I think in a lot of cases, it's like who's going to get there first.
Yeah. We shall see. I mean, I'm sure seeing a dragon, he might be like, okay, yeah, I'll just do what you need me to do. That's
but
fine.
Which dragon? Well, that's why exactly. I can't believe that Aemond's not just like out there riding around like, it's like, look, I have Vagar. Everybody line up behind me and let's just get this over with.
Get the tape measure out and let's have a dragon measuring contest.
And also just like how, I don't actually know, how long does it take for him to fly from King's Landing to the west, to go tell Jason, like, get your shit together and let's go?
It's a good question. Wasn't there a thing when like Jaehaerys first took power that he chose to have like a procession, a progress through the whole kingdom, and he wouldn't go on dragon because it would be too quick?
Yeah. I mean, it is supposed to be relatively. I don't know if we ever get like an exact how fast does a unladen dragon fly?
Yeah, is there like an equation? Like, this is the load on the dragon. Here's how much the rider weighs. Here's how much the dragon weighs. Here's the wing circumference, and I don't know.
What do the Westerosi kids learn in physics?
Exactly. It's the Valerian theorem.
Yeah, they take their physics classes right after their psychology classes, referencing our conversation earlier.
All right, let's go to Adam meeting Seasmoke. Speaking of dragons, Adam sees Seasmoke flying above the beach he works on. He runs, but Seasmoke follows him, bringing his face close to Adam's. What a great shot we got of Seasmoke finally. Like a really nice full-on headshot. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's his face who plays Adam was very impressive. He did all of his own stunts for this.
Quentin Liberty, by the way.
Quentin Liberty, thank you. He apparently did take after take, just did not lose his breath, like a supreme athlete. But for me,
Wow.
what really impressed me was, he's scared because his dragon's suddenly chasing him out of nowhere. And then he's at this point that you have pictured here where he's up against the rock and sea smoke is like leaning down and getting more in his face. And you saw Adam's face, like the fear wiped away and was replaced by wonder. And I thought that was really great acting. Because also knowing he was looking at like a green, like styrofoam thing or whatever.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, it's always really impressive. I always think back to that footage of Ian McKellen sitting in a green screen room that's supposed to be Bag End while filming The Hobbit, and he's just miserable. He almost quit. He said,
really,
he said it was the worst filming experience he ever had, and he almost quit.
Wow.
And Peter Jackson had to like get him a gift bag and like go and try to woo him over because he was really mad about it. He said, "This is not my craft to talk to an empty room."
Oh, well, if you're in a fantasy film.
Yeah, but I see what he's saying, right? Like, because in the Lord of the Rings, they were all like, hey, let's do all these perspective shots.
Right.
That way we're actually interacting. And it's weird to pretend you're at a party with a bunch of dwarves and a hobbit.
Right.
And have that in. I think it's different if you have this little scene that is just staring at a dragon rather than like a half hour scene of having a party with hobbits.
He gets to run around like real landscape,
Yeah, he's not just in like a sensory deprivation room. Right.
No, I'm excited about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be really awesome.
Because I knew, like, once we had the Sir Stephen Darkland failure, I was like, okay, this is happening early enough in the episode. We need to have a success by the end of the episode. Otherwise, nobody's going to want to try this dragon thing.
Right. And I like that it's an accidental success. They didn't try to put somebody else on it. Mm-hmm. Very cool stuff.
And also because, the thing with Sir Stephen Darkland is he is noble born. And was their first inclination is they're not like, let's think about what blood is strongest. They're like, let's think about who has the titles.
Which is stupid because, okay, there's two stupid things about it. One is, don't you think it would be harder for a bastard to take power with a dragon than it would be for someone already with a title? Like, wouldn't you want to take somebody with low birth so that you could control them a little more?
But the optics of, then it's like, if there's no difference between low birth and high birth, then how do you hold your position?
It's a good question. The other question I have is, Rhaenyra, you fucking know you have bastard sons that are dragon riders. You know that works.
Right.
Go find some bastards.
Yeah, but they are her sons, so,
Yeah. That's true. Shall we do the final scenes?
Yes.
All right. Rhaenyra gets action before taking action. Rhaenyra and Mysaria discuss Daemon before Mysaria reveals the abuse of her father. The two begin to kiss, but are interrupted by the news that sea smoke has been spotted over Spicetown with a rider. Rhaenyra seeks the rider on Syrax.
Okay, I mean, I already said my piece about the Rhaenyra Mysaria thing. I read an interview in Variety and I listened to the official podcast, and that made me feel better about it. And I agree, like, you should feel better without having to have interviews, but it doesn't matter. That's the mental evolution I've been on. I'm on board, interested to see where this goes. I did get a little frustrated about where they cut off at the end. It reminded me of like the conversation that we had about the acolytes at the end of where I was like, no, but then, the next part's going to be the fight that's going to go on the whole episode. And I know that this is going to be something similar. It's going to be some big scene, but I just wanted to like see them circle each other in the air or just something, or her to be like, who are you?
Yeah, I think it would have been nicer if they had that meeting just before the end. Cut out like one of the two Daemon visions and give me that.
Thank you. Exactly. Can we please get a Bela scene instead of, I mean, I'm glad Paddy Considine's back, but is this the best use of him? I don't know.
I think that The Acolyte and House of the Dragon this season have had a bit of pacing issues, whereas some episodes have been like total bangers and others have just been really slow. And well, that's okay to an extent. I think it's better if you can give me something chew on every episode.
See, I thought if The Acolyte had pacing issues, it was on the fast side, which makes sense given the run times.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. We can agree to disagree. Yeah, I've given my thoughts on this this shipping of Mysaria and Rhaenyra. I'm not saying I'm against Rhaenyra falling in love with a woman. I'm not against that at all. I don't like it with this woman. I don't think they had chemistry.
No. So last season, one of the things that I wrote in my head that did not come into fruition, but is based on book stuff, is I thought that there was going to be like something between her and Lena and Daemon, because there are hints in the book in that direction. And then I just really felt one of my biggest issues with last season, maybe the biggest one, was I just felt like Lena's character got short shrifted. She didn't. I wanted more time for her. I wanted her to get to do more of her book stuff. But anyway, so when I first saw this kiss, I was like, are they just throwing a bone to people who are upset about that? I'm convinced now that that's not the case. So
yeah, I don't know what the motivation is behind putting this in. And I'll say you could probably convince me of the storyline if it goes somewhere interesting. Mm-hmm. It's just at this point I'm like, it just feels a little lazy.
I mean, I guess it's just Rhaenyra is mad at her husband. What is the worst thing she could do than hook up with his ex?
Cyrus on the Discord quoted Sadie, also on the Discord, and said, is Mysaria the first to ride 2 living dragons?
That's
kind of funny.
Mysaria has done well for herself in many ways.
Yeah, right? Good for her. Anyway, certainly not a show-breaking thing. I don't prefer it, but that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly fits within the confines of the books because, nobody was in Rhaenyra's bedroom mostly writing it.
Yeah, oh yeah. Listen, I am not the person that's going to be like, well, it was different in the book, because we're already far past that.
Right.
I just want things to make sense within the show.
Right.
And to me, they did not sell me on this. They had one compliment earlier in the episode, and that was the only inclination that there was anything like this. I also think that we should just let someone have a close friend every now and then without making it bisexual.
Right.
Anyway. Like, I'm 99% sure Daemon is being suggested as going to become sexual with Alice Rivers at this point. And
it does feel like that.
That I would be like, I see more chemistry there actually, but I still don't want it.
No, I felt like that from the moment that she walked in when he first showed up at Harrenhal. I was like, oh, that was kind of like and I'm biting my tongue, but
he has no patience for the lickspittles, and she is not one.
Oh, yeah, this is true, but could she also just be purely manipulating him to tear apart this whole war?
That is very possible. It's very possible. All right, well, that's it on the episode, I think. Any other thoughts?
I am once again, like I feel like I'm in the same place where at the end of the last episode, I was like, oh, I'm so excited. We're finally getting to the part I'm really excited about. And now I'm like, okay, no, well, now I'm so excited. We're finally getting to the part I'm really excited about. So next week, I want there to be more dragon seed action, and I want Daemon to do something new. But overall, this is a great show. Like, I nitpick it because it's an IP I care about so much. Like, anyone who doesn't know, I have a pet named after this universe, this is one of my favorites.
It's a very good universe. I went fan bankrupt after Game of Thrones, but I came back for House of the Dragon. It put some money back in my account. I
even don't hate the last season of Game of Thrones.
And that's it for the episode, folks. All right. All right.
That's it. And new announcement. Alicia's left the Lorehounds.
All right. Let's talk about what's coming up on the Lorehounds Network. Of course, you just put out the Acolyte Season 1, Episode 8 feedback.
Right.
Where I finally showed up to work. And we had a good time. It was a long feedback episode, but it was fun.
Yeah. Well, we had some long, deep conversations about adjacent things like the nature of social work, and
that's true. I thought it was a very good conversation, as it always is with you, Elysia.
And we had to catch up also on your takes since I did the recap solo.
Right. Well, it was a good episode. And then tomorrow, you and I are going to record with John and Marilyn and maybe David. I don't think so, though.
No, not David, but I'm hopefully going to work out something where he can like pre-record a little thing that we can use.
Okay, cool. Well, tomorrow we're going to be recording the season wrap-up of The Acolyte. And I know you have plans because you asked me what the maximum amount of sounds you can have on the soundboard was. And I was like, oh, God, what is she doing here?
But the thing is, like, we already take up 4 slots just with the intros and outros and middle music and stuff. So
yeah.
that only leaves 6.
I'm sick of Hot Lore Summer, so you can get rid of that.
Oh, yeah, no, there's no room for that because I have to bring back the sounds that I have and maybe make some new ones.
Fair enough. So we have a feedback episode for House of the Dragon this week that you'll also be on. And we have to figure out when we're recording that too. I don't remember if we set a date already. And Second Breakfast, I'm finally going to edit it. It was recorded last week, but it'll be out this week on International Breakfast. That's for subscribers only. So if you're not a Patreon or Supercast subscriber, get on there. You have another week to get on as a $3 a month member. And if you get on as that price, you will always have that price. We will never raise the price on you. But only one more week, and then it's going to be $5 minimum. So definitely check that out in the link tree in the show notes.
And then, you can check out last month's The Fifth Element. Yay! And next week's Karate Kid. Yay!
I'm looking forward to the Karate Kid.
My only issue with the Karate Kid is it was supposed to be the Brat Pack pick. That was like the least Brat Pack film on the list.
I know, but it's so topical right now.
Yeah, I know.
Cobra Kai's out. We got the new entry into the movies. Yeah, it's right in the news. We got to do it. And as far as affiliates, Elysia, you have a new book club episode coming out for your subscribers over at Will Shift Dust.
Yeah, Third Shift. So the third and final parts of the second book in the trilogy, the breakdown.
Nice. I got to listen to that because I did actually read that book.
Okay. Well, the first 2 parts are out.
Very nice. Very nice. And then Star Wars Canon Timeline Podcast, same deal. Feedback for the Acolyte. And don't forget, you can only get the wrap up on the Lorehounds feed because it's spoilery.
Yes. And it's in the Canon Padawan feed as well.
Nice.
But you can get it for freezies on the Lorehounds feed.
All right. And then lastly, I just want to mention Rings and Rituals is doing a feedback episode this week. So that'll be out on Wednesday. You will be able to hear answers to all your questions from Marilyn and Sarah on the Rings of Power Season 1. So get pumped.
And next week, we're doing Deadpool and Wolverine.
I know. I just had to move my ticket, but I'm seeing... Have you ever heard of Screen X? I think that's what it's called.
Oh, you know what? I've seen it. Like when I go to buy tickets, there's not one in Amsterdam, but I think there's one in another city nearby, but I don't really know what it is.
Okay, apparently I had to look this up because there were multiple things and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And it was like the same price. So I look it up and it's like IMAX where, you know, IMAX like vertically expands a little bit, but they have like projections on the sides of the walls.
Okay.
So that you get like a little bit of I think it's a 270 degree view. It's like I don't know. If it's good, I'll report back. If it's bad, then if it's a gimmick, then I'll report back too.
Yeah, no, I'm curious. You know what's fun sometimes is the 4DX. Like the first time I went, well, it's been such a mixed bag when I go. One of the times I went, I saw one of like the, what's it called? The magical creatures, the Harry Potter thing. And it was raining the whole movie. So it's just like raining on us the whole movie, even though it was also raining outside. I was like, what am I doing here?
Oh my gosh. I remember being very small and the Rugrats Go Wild movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
I think it was at like Burger King. If you got one of their kids' meals, they would give you a scratch and sniff that went along with the different scenes in the movie.
Right.
Including like feet smell.
That.
It was disgusting. Yeah. and the whole movie theater, I got one. And then I went to the movie theater and the movie theater smelled like ass the entire time. And that was the only time I ever had a scratch and sniff with a movie.
Oh. And my sister was really into Rugrats.
All right, Elysia, I'm going to play you Sea Breeze for Sea Smoke. You want to do the shout-outs?
All right, here we go. Oh, our Discord server boosters. Thank you. Gnarls, Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Dork of the Ninjas, Duve71, Captain Gingy56, and Athena Ajalea. And thank you also especially to our lore masters, Samartian Michael G, Michelle E, David W, Brian P, SC, Peter OH, Bettina W, Adam S, Nancy M, Duve71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, Gareth C, Eric F, Matthew M, Sarah M, DJ Miwa, Andra B, Kwang Yu, Deadeye Jedi Bob, Nathan T, Alex V, Aaron T, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dally V, Mothership 61, Gnarls, Kathy W, Stuart B, Jeffrey B, News, Loremaster, Elisa U, and always last, Adrian. Namaste.
I almost put on another one because I was like, this is too ridiculous. And then I was like, should we go into In the Arms of an Angel?
Yeah, that is what it sounds like. Spend all your time waiting.
All right. It's been a night, and I hope everyone had a great time with us. You can, of course, come and send in feedback. HOTD at thelorehounds.com, or go to thelorehounds.com/contact, or go on our Discord server. Nancy M, our hand of the pod, will help us get your feedback into the document, and we'll be recording that later in the week. So for now, we'll see you on the other side.
Ciao.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by The Lorehounds. You can send questions and feedback and voicemails at thelorehounds.com/contact. Get early and ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts at patreon.com/thelorehounds. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities. Thanks for listening. Okay, David, this is where we're supposed to choose a side. Green or black?
John, my soul is as black as night. Your turn.
I am black for life.
So we're not fighting? I thought this is where HBO wanted us to pick sides and fight and stuff.
Don't worry, I'm sure we'll find plenty to disagree about on the pod, but we seem to agree on one thing. We both really like this show.
The politics, the drama, the lore. It was made for the Lorehounds.
And since we just finished recapping season 1, we couldn't be more ready to defend our Black Queen in the Dance of the Dragons.
And with the season pass option in Supercast, listeners can get early ad-free access to each weekly scene-by-scene deep dive, plus our custom show guide with all the characters and connections. See you in the Lorehounds podcast feed each week for our Dragonfire hot, but probably positive, takes.
The Lorehounds House of the Dragon coverage is also safe for Team Green consumption. Side effects may include a deeper understanding of dragon lore, a hardened conflict with itself, and an inescapable urge to read the book Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin. Dragon seeds may experience burning.